do you want to be well, or something like it, is a question that all of us are going to have to face at some point in our lives. We've all put our trust in some kind of illusion that overpromised and it underdelivered. And maybe that was a myth about miracle waters, I don't know, but sometimes it's a relationship that wasn't what it claimed to be. Or a theological foundation that wasn't as firm as it appeared to be, or maybe it's just a career that wasn't as fulfilling as you thought it would be. But the longer we've put our hope in those possibilities and the farther down that path we've walked, the more years we have spent trusting in one thing, the harder it is to let it go. And look, I'm sorry, I understand why this man believes it. I feel the anguish of 38 years of hoping, but angels do not come down from heaven to stir up waters and pit people in need against each other in some kind of race for God's entertainment. It's not true. The thing is, none of our myths are any more true than this one. We know that satisfaction won't come from more Instagram followers, and that we won't find the right relationship just because we put the right keywords in our dating profile. We know that our sense of well-being won't change because we upgraded to a house with 13.5% more square footage, and yet we keep trying and we keep buying, and then we wonder why we're lonely and we're exhausted all the time. When maybe the problem is that we actually haven't let someone get close enough to ask us what we really want and who we really want to become. And look, I get it. Of course this man wants to be made well. What's the big deal, Jeremy? Move on. But for me, it's the fact that Jesus cares enough to ask that matters. So I'm convinced that it's Jesus' curiosity that is able to shift this man's perspective from what I want is to be first into the water to actually what I want is to be made well. And those are two very different things. And we spend a lot of our time chasing the first and not nearly enough time having honest conversations about the second. Miroslav Volf once wrote that the truth will set you free, and the truth does set you free, but it's by connecting you to what is real. Truth is what liberates us from our fantasies, from our alternative facts, from our lies and half-truths, that which, when believed, push us into the pit of false fears and drive us up the sandy slopes of false aspiration. You see, as tragic as it is, it does not matter how long this man lies by this pool. And it does not matter if he can coax a stranger to get him in first, because for 38 years, he's bought into the wrong story. And unfortunately, the truth is, far too often, so have you and I. But if all we ever do is assume that everyone we encounter is chasing the same futile myths that we are, and we never muster the curious courage to get forced into each other's lives and ask real questions about what we really want and who we really want to become, eventually what will happen is we will find ourselves decades down the wrong path with a mountain of sunk cost, chasing a dream that we know won't really deliver. But there is an alternative. And I am increasingly convinced that it starts when we cultivate our curiosity. And we learn to push past our assumptions, and we start to craft good questions, and then we wait long enough to actually hear each other's answers. Because I think it's in the listening that we are able to dismantle the myths that we have bought into about ourselves, about our world, and maybe most importantly, about each other. Listening is not just about the information you gather. It's about tone and inflection and pain and hesitation. It's when we listen for nuance and experience and anxiety and celebration. It's uncovered when we hear the depth and the humanity and the conviction and the confusion that someone conveys beneath their words to us face to face. And all of that takes a profound curiosity that sometimes does not come easily. But it's one that I'm convinced might actually start to make us well by freeing us from some of the things that we've been chasing, so that we can actually decide who it is that we want to become.